So Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. I'm Padma from Padma Wealth Advisory. All of us have worked incredibly hard to build a legacy with a clear plan. My goal today to focus on the fine print of life insurance is not to cause you worry, but to ensure that your coverage remains as solid as your intentions. With over 25 years of combined wealth management experience in the company, we've seen how small overlooked details can impact a family's future. Today, we'll go through the clauses that are commonly ignored in life insurance. Now, life insurance is a very sensitive topic in many families, and I request that we keep our emotions aside as we go through this session. So, a quick reminder for ourselves as to why we take life insurance. We take it to create instant liquidity, either during sickness or death, and the payout prevents distressed sale of assets by the family. So, fine print is where the insurers define very clearly when they will not pay a claim, mostly in the exclusion clauses section. It is our responsibility to go through them and understand the implications. Okay, so we start with the active and the passive war exclusion clauses. Active war means no payment by the insurance company if you're an active participant like a soldier or volunteer in a war zone. Passive war exclusion clause means insurance policy is void the moment you land in a country with a do not travel advisory issued by the government. But if your policy includes passive war cover, then payment is made even if death is caused in a war zone. Now this clause, is about how long it takes for the insurance company to deny a claim. But if it's been active for, say, 2 to 3 years, depending on where it's been issued, the jurisdiction it's been issued, the insurer generally cannot deny payment based on minor application mistakes. It could be like maybe you weighed 60 kgs at the time of application, weighed 63 when it was issued. These are minor discrepancies. So insurer cannot deny payment based on minor mistakes, but he can deny payment even after 2 to 3 years in case of serious frauds like impersonation, faking the identity, etc. Now, this is something that many of us are not aware of. Make sure you inform the insurer if you take up a high-risk occupation, such as becoming a private pilot, joining the military, or working in a conflict zone, or even if you take up hazardous hobbies such as scuba diving or paragliding. Not informing the insurance company or not keeping them updated could lead to denial of payment. Now, this is kind of obvious because if the beneficiary is responsible for the death of the insured, then the insurance company will deny the payment. Or if the insured dies while committing a crime, again, solid reasons for the insurance company to deny the payment. So the next is about beneficiary designation. One of the most common reasons as to why the payment goes to the wrong person or somebody who is not intended at that point in time. So beneficiary mentioned in the insurance policy gets the payout irrespective of whom you mention in your will or whom you mention in your trust, your foundation, whatever be the structure. Insurance is not part of it, or the beneficiary is not affected by those. So the payment is made to the beneficiary mentioned in the insurance policy. So please update the beneficiaries as per your the significant life events in your journey. The common changes are like when you took the life insurance, maybe your parents were the beneficiaries. After a period of time, you want to change it to your spouse, or maybe you want to include your children as beneficiaries, and also removing people like, you want to remove your ex-spouse, say. So please keep it updated. And this is another important clause that we take for granted. When insurances are sometimes sold, we are told that it's okay to not make a payment, okay, for some time, and it's still valid. But there is a specific period for every insurance policy, that grace period. So keep track of that. Some have 30, 31 days, some with a fund value, right? The premiums are adjusted against the fund value. So go through the fine print, check the specific number of days for which you get grace, because if an event or death or sickness happens after the grace period, there is zero payout and the whole point is lost. Yeah. So what are the additional clauses that we need to be aware of? or we need to check out, like if you're frequently traveling between your home country, your resident country, and you're a frequent traveler, what are the limits, or does insurance apply to a death happening in any of these countries? Aviation clause, some insurances come out with this, like if you death is because of some accident in aviation, then there's an extra payment. But does it cover you if you fly in a private plane or a jet? And suicide is something normally excluded for a particular waiting period, and after that it's covered. And of course, the honesty check as to how honest you are with the facts. Yeah, so make sure that you go through all these. And if you want to go back and review your policy, or you're taking a new policy, right? So make sure that you ask some basic questions. Like I would say, I've just listed 3 of them here. One is like, you're living in a peaceful country. Okay, it is a country which is not on the do not travel list. But you're a civilian victim of a random terrorist attack or a sudden act of war. Will the full benefit be paid in this case? The second is, if I relocate to another country, right? Does the premium or coverage change? Is this insurance policy applicable in that country also? Do I have to go and take a new policy? And the third is like, are there transfer restrictions? So some insurances are only for a particular country, but my beneficiaries could be living in a completely different country. So when there is a payout, are there restrictions regarding the territory to which the payment has to be made, right? So these are like common things like which we miss out on when we take an insurance policy. So I would suggest that you go back and just review some of these questions with your advisor. And the last thing, in wealth management, we plan for the best, but prepare for the unexpected. So let's take the guesswork out of our coverage altogether and ensure that your protection is global and resilient. So for a confidential review, do get in touch. My contact details are given here. And thank you.